So as I mentioned, today's live stream is called Opening a Cafe or Restaurant in Canada. And my guest tonight is Omar Khartabil. So Omar is the owner and operator of multiple business endeavors, including the Choco Cafe, which I don't believe is in business any longer, but it was in business for 6 or 7 years. We'll find out from Omar. Another business called Chocolates by Design. And currently, he is the owner and founder of GammaShift Consulting and Roasted Coffee. So he's a busy guy. He's a very smart and interesting guy. So I'm going to bring him onto the live stream now. Sorry, there's a couple technical difficulties. So things are a little bit slow. So I'm trying to bring him on. I'm doing my best to bring him on, and he will be here in a couple seconds. Oh, there he is. Hey, Omar, how's it going, man?
Hello. How are you?
Very good. So did I do an okay job introducing you? Is there anything you'd like to add to what I said?
No, you make me sound very busy, which is good.
You are busy.
The production. Yeah, definitely. It's all good.
Yeah, I didn't even mention all your kids and family responsibilities and all that stuff. So
4 kids, so that's busy.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, great. So you're here to tell us a little bit about opening a cafe or a restaurant in Canada. But maybe we'll start, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself and maybe a little bit about your settlement journey. So how did you come to Canada? When did you come to Canada? And what have you been doing since you arrived?
Yeah, I think we landed here 2006, because I lost track of the years, 2006. So it's been almost 15 years here since we came to Canada. Definitely, coming to a new country wasn't easy, not knowing too many people, but I guess one of the great assets here locally was iSense, which you used to work at, Immigrant Settlement Association of Nova Scotia. They were very helpful to help us settle in and figure out our way. Whether it's through just personal stuff or setting up a business, which came down the road eventually. So definitely the first few years weren't, I wouldn't say difficult, but weren't simple and straightforward because of different culture, different requirements. I moved coming from Dubai, a different lifestyle as well. So there's a change from the lifestyle and environment and everything. So it took us a while, but you know what? Everyone was very welcoming. People were very helpful. I couldn't be more happy to be here, become Canadian, and Nova Scotian specifically. So, yeah.
Great. So, maybe tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial experience. So you used to own a coffee shop. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
It's funny how it all started. It really wasn't in any way planned for. I think it was more of a hit and miss. When we had our first baby girl here in Canada, my wife wanted to do some kind of a baby shower, gifts to her friends. And we usually back home in the Middle East, we use chocolates that are wrapped and then specifically designed and decorated for baby showers. And we couldn't find it here. So then we had to order them from Jordan, that's where her parents lived, and have them shipped here. And she designed them locally here with her, because she's an architect, she has all this, nice touches. And people loved it. And we said, you know what, maybe we should try it. And we started that from home base for, 3 years maybe before we decided to get out to home base and start a business. But really, it just, unfolded on its own. It was really my wife's dream to have a coffee shop and a chocolate shop together. I don't come from an entrepreneurial family. She comes from an entrepreneurial family. Her father is a businessman. Her brothers are, entrepreneurs. So, but I think being around her father, he pushed us, he supported us, and we decided, you know what, the next logical step was to go and open a coffee shop and chocolate shop, because there was no such a combination here locally in Halifax, coffee shop and chocolate shop together. And what a great combination, right? Drinking your coffee, your chocolate melts in your mouth, perfect, right?
So, 2 things that Canadians love, right? Coffee and chocolate.
Really, really good chocolate. I'm not sure if you were around when we had our coffee shop. Were you?
I don't think I was ever there. I don't think we were friends at that time.
No, yeah. You're lost. No, I'm kidding. I
know.
So that's how it started. It was a risky move because we didn't know anything. We didn't know the regulations because we had to import the chocolate. health requirements. But it was an interesting process. It wasn't that hard, but you had to watch what you're doing, know what you're doing, ask the right questions, find the right support from ISANs, from friends, family, or even just going to HRM and asking questions for when it comes to permitting, all that stuff. So definitely it was worth a while. We lasted for 6 years in downtown Halifax. It was a great experience. If I probably would do it again, but maybe once my kids grow up. Having a family of 4, working full time and working this coffee shop, I had no life. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So that's
so
where
you were working full time elsewhere. I think you were at Dalhousie or something.
University as a senior project manager. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So there were days that my days started, say, from 5 in the morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night after work, going to coffee shop home, barely sleeping, go back. But I was lucky. My brother-in-law was a partner and he helped, but then things didn't work out. He parted, and more pressure on me and my wife. And we had our 4th baby during that time. So it was like he was kind of roaming around the coffee shop while we were working. So you can imagine. Yeah. But it was fun. It was exciting. We missed it for sure. It was a dream that came true. And then you had to take the right step. Not every business will succeed. And doesn't mean if you shut down, this means you failed. You need to know when you need to stop at the right moment, because sometimes you might, make it worse for you and your lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. I just want to acknowledge that, anybody watching, if you have any questions during tonight's live stream, please ask them as we go. Omar is a great guy to answer your questions. Anything related to starting a business here in Canada, Halifax especially, and even more so about food and beverage. So like we said, he had a coffee shop. He has a coffee business now. He had a chocolate business before. So pretty much anything related to food and beverage you can ask about. We do have a comment. We have a viewer here, Miguel. Hi, Miguel. Thank you for watching. And please let us know if you have any questions.
And just to clarify, there's a difference between running a coffee shop and a restaurant, because restaurants is more food handling than a regular coffee shop. There are some coffee shops who do food handling or food preparation, but it's not as tedious or as detailed as a full restaurant, right? So there might be a bit of a difference between the requirements, but overall, it's pretty much the same. What you need to know, health-wise, permit-wise, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So now, you're not doing the coffee shop anymore. Now you're concentrating on 2 businesses. So your first business is called GammaShift Consulting. Can you talk a little bit about what you do with GammaShift?
Yeah, it's funny how this also, I guess, transpired during the pandemic hit. I lost my full-time job. Working as a project manager, didn't know what I wanted to do, so I attended some courses, online courses, digital marketing, and another course I forgot what's called, but with George Hanna, which both kind of helped me rethink what I'm doing. And with their support, both George and Mark Zirka, they both kind of helped me picture what is my next step. And really, it was George who kind of said, you know what, you have experience with the coffee shop, why not build on it? So I said, okay, well, how can I do that, right? So you build on your expertise, build on your background, build on what you know. And I said, you know what, I'm going to help others who want to kind of establish a coffee shop business, especially immigrants who, find it hard to maneuver or move around or find out the right, permits, to find the right regulations, or location or menu or whatever it's ins and outs that you need to set up a coffee shop, because it's not that easy, but it can be really simple if you know what you're doing with the right roadmap. And that's what I'm here to do with GammaShift. Is I want to help new entrepreneurs, whether they're immigrants or locals, but to help them maneuver through these obstacles to open their coffee shop.
Yeah, great. So I put up Omar's website there. So this is for his GammaShift consulting business. So hopefully you can check it out if you're thinking about, opening a coffee shop or food handling business here in Halifax. I definitely recommend reaching out to Omar, because he's one of the guys that can help you.
For sure.
Great. We do have a question here, Omar. Maybe we'll deal with this question right now. So Alejandro is asking, how difficult is it to start your own business in Canada? So as an immigrant, you're in a good position to handle this question.
Very easy. Easier than I expected. Especially, the barriers are not that hard if you know what you're doing. It's only the investment, really, how much you're willing to invest money-wise. Time, you have to invest time. There's no way you can do without it. But it's really how much you want to invest money. But again, really starting a business, I mean, it's very simple. It's as easy on going, even like just registering your name and business. It's so simple. Like going online, Google, search the name, reserve it, pay for it. That's it. I'm sure back home, other places, it's probably a long process. So really, it's not that difficult. Even getting the permits or getting the approvals, I didn't think it was very hard at all, as long as you know what you're doing with the proper guidance. But it all depends on how much time and money you want to invest. That's really the difficult part of it.
Yeah, great. I did have this question. We might as well ask it now. Like, how much would it cost for somebody to just get started? Say they want to open a cafe here in Halifax. To be successful, what's sort of the minimum amount of money you would say?
So it's a tough question, because when we opened our coffee shop, I think it was 2010, so that's almost 11 years ago. Maybe let me back up. Things are not cheap here in Halifax. Halifax is a small city, limited options, so everything is priced really higher than it should be. So you really need to be smart where you go to buy if you're opening a coffee shop, where to buy your equipment, your furniture, all that stuff. And what we did was a combination of stuff from Toronto, Montreal, limited options from here. They were cheaper with even shipping them, or shipping them from Toronto or Montreal at that time. Yeah. Now with COVID, really, I think the whole ballgame has changed. It's probably more expensive. Again, it all depends on what you want to serve. How big is the space? What's the vibe? It could be minimalistic, could be high end. So really, it can range, I would say, from 50,000 to $500,000 if you want to go up, if not more. Right? Who knows? Right? It depends on how much. But I mean, to be logical, around 100,000 isn't okay. But again, with COVID now, it might be much more expensive, right?
Okay.
It's really depends on what is your theme, what you're looking to, who's your customer base, what you're looking to serve. It's just simple coffee versus lots of baked goods. It depends on what you want in your business. So it's really in your hands to control it. How big of a space? So it all depends.
Okay. So the things that you had like imported from Montreal and Toronto, was that like coffee equipment, furniture, all that stuff?
Yes, the coffee, like the fridge, the espresso machine, the grinder, all this stuff. Because here you have limited suppliers, but in Toronto and Montreal, man, you have way too many. It's crazy. And even you could get much cheaper, better deals from there than here locally, unfortunately. That's the way it is, really. So for sure, it's a big difference. Now with COVID, it might be the same, or it could be even worse. I don't know. I haven't been in the market for a while, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But something to look at for sure if you're looking to open a business. Don't just look at the local market.
Yeah, great. Sure. And so you quoted an amount, say 50 or 100,000, something like that. So does somebody have to have all that money themselves, or is there financing available that can help them get started?
Well, again, it depends on the person. If you have the money, great. If you don't, then either you finance it, or you have to have a business plan for sure, because all banks will look for a business plan. So you're going to probably get a loan, or most probably it's going to be a loan, or through BDC or through other kind of other entities who might be able to help you with the money. But I would suggest if you can, which is probably hard nowadays, having cash, right? But do your best to minimize the amount of loan, because especially with starting up a coffee business or any kind of business right now, it takes time for it to ramp up. It takes time for you to make money. I'd say in our case, it took us, say, 2 years before we started seeing, real money coming in, because, the first year, who knows, you need to build a reputation, and then, have the cost of goods, you have your expenses. So it all comes into play, and your taxes. So you have to be very smart about it. So you don't want to start with a loan and close with a loan, right? So you have to be careful.
Yeah. Great. Okay. We also have Bay is waving. Hi, Bay. Thank you for watching. She's all the way in Brazil. So we have an international crowd tonight.
Nice.
Yeah. Great. So we talked about GammaShift. So you help entrepreneurs start coffee shops and other food-related businesses. You also do coffee. So you started your own line of specialty coffees. So I believe it's Turkish coffee and Arabic coffee.
Yes.
So
here's
there
one.
we can see it. Okay. So tell us a bit about that. Tell us about the process of starting your own
it's
coffee
another
line.
funny one, right?
Nice.
It only started end of May, so it's not even 2 months old. You know that. I mean, when I started, you were kind of in the loop. What triggered it? It's funny. Yeah, it was really between myself and a friend of mine. We were just thinking about doing a business together, and we were having coffee, funny enough. And then he wanted to start a chocolate business with me because I had chocolate business. I said, you know what? It's too much work doing chocolate, and it's not, there's a lot of risk in chocolate. It might go bad easily, all that stuff. So I kind of convinced him, let's do coffee. But let's try to be different. What doesn't exist here? I mean, so we thought, why not try to sell unique blends, which are the Turkish and Arabic coffee. I mean, Middle Eastern shops sell it, but you have to think about them that they're not fresh because they probably are imported from Montreal, but the Montreal get them from the Middle East, so they take a long while for them to reach the market. So they're not a day or two old; they're probably months old, so they're not as fresh. And so we decided, why not give it a try? And we asked some friends who have roasteries back home. They gave us the idea on what beans to use and what not to use, what the mixes are, and he just came up with the logo. In fact, my daughter came up with the logo and this design.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
well, that's cool.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And the bags and all that stuff. So it took us a while, but and you probably remember my old bag. It was a kind of silverish color with my old roasted label. But within less than a month, we've changed it, upgraded everything. So, and what has been great? I mean, I'd say within 2 months, I've sold more than 200 pounds of coffee.
Holy cow!
Nice. Yeah, so people are enjoying it, whether they're Middle Eastern or local Canadians, especially the Turkish coffee. People are loving it because it's darker, richer. Arabic coffee is a bit lighter, but each one has its own taste. And I'm enjoying it. I want to scale it for sure. So that's, you learn from your experience. You look at opportunities, find ways to enter the market with new stuff that does not exist or exist, but you improve on it, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's a lot of stuff out there, but if you find a gap on what's being offered and improve it, then you can be better at it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where it's the freshness. For me, it's the freshness, right? It's fresh. It's not, I didn't do it, I didn't blend this or, get it done last year. It's like 1 day or 2 days old. This is my newest batch, right? So you get your coffee really fresh and people can taste the difference for sure.
Awesome. So how can somebody order your coffee? If they're watching now, they want to try out this awesome coffee, how can they get it?
Through my Facebook page, they can send me a message on Messenger. Maybe like I mentioned prior to us going live, I'm going to have an e-commerce website as well. But for now, through my Facebook page, Roasted Coffee Halifax, you can find the products there, and just send me a message, and we can deliver. I've shipped to Canada-wide. In fact, I shipped, to Canada, like Toronto, Montreal, Calgary. So I'm sure we can ship, within Canada for now. Yeah.
Awesome. I have another question. So I assume that to start this kind of business, a coffee business or like a small, like chocolate business or something, it doesn't cost nearly as much as it does to start a cafe. So like how much money would somebody need? Say they want to start a business, selling food at the farmer's market or doing something like what you've done.
That's probably the best way to start, so you can test the market, right? It's a good point you bring that up, because in fact, that's how we started. When we were home-based with our chocolate, we used to go to the farmer's market. We used to go to the Christmas at the Forum.
Yep.
We used to go almost every year. People would just wait for us every year. They know where we're at, So that's where you go to. You start with these locations, and you can test the market for sure. So it doesn't cost you other than the cost of your goods, right? Like what it costs you to make your product, right? Which shouldn't be that expensive. So that in that way you can control your budget and test the market and test your product as well, and see if there's any appetite for it. Rather than you investing 100,000 and trying it with a retail shop. That's why it took us a while before we decided to do that, right? It took us 2 to 3 years before we opened a coffee shop, really. So yeah, definitely a good way to start your business.
Yeah. Great. And yeah, you mentioned Icelands before. I know they have a lot of support. They have a program where they actually pay for the tables at the
For
market, and
sure.
they help people learn, how to create a product, how to market it, how to sell it at the market.
Market for sure.
So
Because
yeah,
there's, especially if you're an immigrant, with all the with what you are offering, people might not know what is the product, and they might be hesitant to buy it. And that's why I created a sampler pack for my product as well. I'm not sure if you've seen it, remember, Ian? There was like, I created a very small sampler pack, so 30 gram of each kind of coffee, rather than buying 200 or 1,500 grams, and you don't know if you're gonna like it. So cheaper and faster and easier to try. So here,
yeah,
buy a sampler pack, try it. If you like it, buy some more. So yeah, it's because it's a new product. It does not exist, or people don't know much about it. It's a learning curve. So you want to make sure that what you're selling, people will, come back and buy it again.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you learned about like the Canadian consumer? Like, do Canadians like your coffee? Do they like your chocolates, or do they have a different, taste? Or because I know I've heard, Canadians like really sweet things. They like their coffee a certain way. Have you been able to get through to them?
Yeah, it's funny. At least from my most recent coffee business, I've realized that it seems like the Canadians love darker, richer coffee. So the Arabic coffee, you've tried the Arabic coffee, it's lighter,
Mhm.
lighter roast, and I should probably let you try my Turkish coffee, then you can tell the difference.
Sure. Yeah.
Turkish coffee is darker, richer, creamier, and I've seen that people love it more. Uh, in fact, yeah, because and in fact, Turkish coffee is usually used every day in our culture. People drink it in the morning every day, like it's like espresso shot. But Arabic coffee is only for occasions, for weddings, for even funerals, unfortunately. But certain occasions they serve Arabic coffee, so it's not a thing that you drink every day. So yeah, I've seen the clear difference between what they like and and they don't like. So Turkish coffee is definitely a bigger hit than Arabic. Chocolate wise, who doesn't love chocolate? It's unless it's really, really, really bad chocolate, right? But I mean, when you combine it with coffee, you can't go wrong. So it was a really good combination for us, for sure.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I did try your Arabic coffee. It was delicious. But I had a little problem because I poured myself a cup and drank the whole thing at once, and it was a lot stronger than I was used to. So you said it's kind of like espresso. So
Yes, that's again. I should have clarified that. Now, on my bag here, I have a QR code where people
okay.
can click on it, and it tells you the way of preparing it and how to drink it. So definitely, so that's a cultural thing as well, right? Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Education is important.
Yeah. It was really good, but I was wired for about 4 or 5 hours afterwards.
A lot of caffeine for sure.
Yeah. Great. Okay. We do have another couple questions and comments here. So Victor's here. Hey, Victor. How's it going, buddy? I forget where Victor is. Maybe, Victor, you can tell us where you're watching from. And Alejandro has another question. Great. So the taxes that you have to pay for your own business are high. So what are taxes like here in Canada for people wanting to start a business?
It's a big chunk. Yeah, he's right. It's high. So you have to be smart how you that's why you have to pricing your products is very important. How you price your products, finding good deals on your minimizing your expenses. So definitely taxes is a big chunk of your revenue, which you need to be very aware of. How much it depends really. It's how much you sell versus how much you pay for your goods, and the difference is what you pay. But it can be high, especially if you have lots of sales. Percentage wise, I don't remember, but well, apart from taxes, also you need to think about is your employees, like your payroll, your insurance, your security. There's a lot of expenses that you have to think about when opening a business, but taxes is one of the highest, and the second one is probably your rent and your insurance and your employees. So there's quite a few chunk there that you need to think about and make sure you understand how much you're into before you get into business.
Yeah. And you mentioned before there are some permits and stuff. So when you're serving food, I'm sure there's some regulations and permits.
Yeah, but they're not expensive. Permits is I think once every 2 years you have to do it. Yeah, you have to take a food handling course, which is not that expensive as well. So that's a very small fee compared to what you pay for your insurance, for your rent, for your employees, and your taxes, for sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not much support for small businesses. Maybe now after COVID, but prior to that, not too much support. It's tough to have a small business. So something you have to think about for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess going back to the taxes question, I guess it depends on how your business is structured. So if you're a sole proprietor, basically in that case, you are the business. So you look at your total income as a person, and then you pay taxes based on your total income. But if you're a corporation, then it's different. You're charged corporate tax rates. Is that right, Omar?
For sure, 100%. You said that right. So again, it depends on how you want to operate the business. And usually, if you're operating a coffee shop or a food handling business, it's best you're a corporation, not on your own. Otherwise, you'll be liable for everything, and you don't want that.
Yeah. So you went that way. You incorporated your chocolate business.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. For sure. Great. I know there's another consideration because actually my wife had a small chocolate business. Back, 5 or 6 years ago. She sold at the market and stuff. One of the big costs for her was having to produce it in a commercial kitchen. So they wouldn't allow us to do it from our home because we had a cat and it would have been inspected. So that can be a big challenge for people starting this kind of business as well.
For sure. That's a good point. If you don't have a commercial kitchen, you have to rent it out, and not too many around here, unfortunately. So that becomes an issue as well. So I'm not sure how iSense helps in that particular item. I don't know, but I'm sure iSense could help with that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they could help you find one at least. I don't think they have a kitchen themselves, but they could help you locate one.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. So hopefully, Alejandro, we answered your question there. Abdullah, you might know Abdullah, Omar.
No.
Okay. He's here in Halifax. Hi, Abdullah.
He must be Jordanian, I'm guessing.
I think he's Syrian.
Syrian? Okay, close enough.
Yeah. Okay. No offense. And Victor is watching from the Dominican.
Wow.
Hey, Victor.
Wide spectrum of viewers.
Yeah. What's the coffee like in the Dominican? I was there with my wife a long time ago, but I forget what the coffee was like there.
Interesting.
And you're welcome, Alejandro. You're very
Good questions,
welcome.
for sure.
And Colombia, I guess
there you go.
That's the best or one of the best coffee places, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. And Brazil as well.
Yeah. So where do you get like the beans for your roasted coffee business? Where do they come from? Because we don't grow coffee here in Canada.
Oh, we don't? I thought we did. It's funny.
We drink it, but we don't.
So the Arabic coffee is different than the Turkish coffee. Turkish coffee is purely Brazilian coffee. Okay. The Arabic coffee is a mix of 3 different kinds. Brazilian, Colombian, and Sumatran. Okay. It's a unique blend, different ratios, blah, blah, blah. But Turkish is purely Brazilian.
Yeah. We're not going to ask you to give up your special
I can. I'll have to kill you then.
Recipe. What's that?
I'll have to shoot you then.
Oh, no, I don't want to go that
far. Say that? No. Yeah, no. But I mean, it's mixed in different ratio, different unique spices, all that stuff. But definitely it's each kind of bean is different for different drinks for sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. Just a couple more comments here. So Victor is talking about Colombia and the Dominican. So we take it usually dark. We have great coffee. Great. So next time I'm in the Dominican, I will definitely try some of your delicious coffee. Here in Canada, I'd say mostly, people take it with sugar, probably cream. We like it sweet. We like it watered down a little bit.
Yeah. So no, the Turkish coffee is very condensed. You can drink it dark, just black, no sugar. Some people would like it with little sugar. Some people like it with really, really lots of sugar. And I found out that some people like it with cream, which is not part of my culture, but maybe other parts of the world in the Middle East drink it with some cream in it, which is interesting. In fact, funny enough, I have one of my customers, a Canadian customer. She tried it, iced cold Turkish coffee. Like, oh my God, and she loved it.
Oh, really?
She made her own concussion somehow.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing with coffee. People can put their own spin on it, make it how they like it.
And some other customer tried, they used the Turkish coffee with their espresso machine, and they say it worked. I don't know.
Okay.
Because Turkish coffee is much more fine grind than the espresso. So, but anyway, so each has its own way, but there's a special way of preparing these two coffee, which is a traditional way of doing it. So you can really taste the taste of the coffee.
Great. Yeah, I think I mentioned to you that it would be good to have like a video that we could watch to learn how to brew it.
For sure.
Do you have a video, or do you just give instructions and then the people can
I have instructions, but I might be doing one soon with the 40 Cups of Excellence.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
Jennifer.
Yeah. I told her maybe for the next meeting on the end of the month, we might be doing something. I suggested if we can do a kind of a tutorial on how to do the coffee. We'll see.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'll try and make it to that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. We have a couple more comments here. So Demanta's watching. Hello, Demanta. I believe she's also in Halifax.
Nice.
Abdullah, he is from Syria, so I got that right. And Mauricio is watching. Hi, Mauricio. Okay, here's a good question. So how much experience would I need to start a coffee business?
I have zero experience.
Okay.
All I know is I love coffee. I had zero experience with chocolate. I love chocolate. It's not that hard, really. It's and we took only, I think, a couple of days of training on how to use our espresso machine. It depends. Like if you want to be a very unique, all these kind of unique drinks that, cold brew and fancy drinks that you want to do, then you have to be really, really deep. But if you're simply serving, cappuccinos and espressos and brewed coffee, it doesn't take much time to learn it. But you do need to understand it because you don't want to look stupid in front of your employees. You need to know what you're doing. So you need to understand how to brew a coffee, how to grind it, how to make an espresso, how to do the foam for your cappuccino latte. But it's not very hard. You can. So it's, in my opinion, a week's time, you know the basics. But with time, as you operate your business, you become better at it. So it's not that hard. I'll train.
Well, we lost Omar for a couple seconds. He might have a Wi-Fi issue. So, here he's back. Hey, we lost you for a second.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. So
I thought you went to get a coffee or something.
Probably. So yeah, I don't think. Definitely, if you have experience, that's great. But if you don't, you learn it. We all start from zero experience. You just have to know that you need to learn on how to run the business.
Yeah. Great. So, I started a business recently too. So, maybe the main things are the ability to work hard, some money, maybe depending on the business. But really for a lot of these businesses, experience isn't necessary. You can learn as you go. You can hire somebody like Omar to help you out in the beginning stages. And then, places like ISANs are there as well. They have business counselors that might be able to help. So not that much.
So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but you just have to, you need to learn as you go to improve on your business, really.
Yeah. Do you think it's necessary to differentiate yourselves from the rest of the coffee shops out there? So do you have to have sort of an angle and say, we're the Arabic coffee people, or we're the coffee shop that serves chocolates? So how important is that?
For sure. I think when we decided to open our coffee shop and chocolate shop, that's the only reason we did it together, because simply opening a coffee shop, I don't think I would be able to compete with other coffee shops, because there's quite a few here, and you need to be really, unique to be able to compete with other coffee shops. So I think our differentiator was the chocolate. So if you decide to open a coffee shop, you need to understand who is your customer base. Who are you serving? You need to understand, if you know your customer base, you know what kind of coffees you're going to serve them, right? Gen X is different Gen Z. Myself, I'd rather drink just regular coffee versus all this weird coffee in Starbucks, the weird names. Not my drinks, right? So you need to know who's your customer base. Whoops, we lost. Okay, so we lost Ian.
I'm back. Sorry, I had technical difficulties too. So sorry about that.
Okay.
Don't worry.
It's a very good point. You need to be able to differentiate yourself from others. So you can't just simply say, I'm going to open a coffee shop and that's it. Because why would I want to come and drink, say, espresso from you versus other places? So what's different about you? So maybe you can have some unique offerings. When we opened our shop, we had chocolate fondue platter. We had real chocolate hot chocolate. So something unique that did not exist other places at that time. So you need to think about. So menu is important. You need to think about your menu before opening your shop, so you can see if you can offer some unique products other than the standard, latte, cappuccino, espresso, blah blah blah, which everyone has it, right? So it's very important for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, how important is like the food aspect? So you mentioned that lots of places serve, sandwiches, baked goods. Like, how important is that?
So, again, it depends how much space you have, what you're willing to offer. When we started, we didn't offer much. We didn't do any baked goods. We just, got stuff from local bakers because we didn't want to spend time on getting the ingredients, putting it together. So that's time also invested, money, expenses. So that's also something you need to think about. Are you willing to do that in your shop or not? So again, it depends on what you're willing to offer. But down the road, we changed. We started doing cakes. We started doing cheesecakes. We started doing muffins because we found that we can control it. It can be more fresh. So it depends on. It's a fine balance, but definitely it's something you need to look at when you build your menu. And your menu can change with time, right? It doesn't have to be fixed forever.
Right. Yeah. Great point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Fernie is watching from Colombia. Wow, we do have a very diverse group tonight. That's awesome.
Wow, I know.
Hi, Fernie. And we do have another question. Are there many coffee shops in Canada?
You know that coffee is the second most drink after water in Canada. Like water, the number one drink, and coffee is the second drink in Canada. So a lot of coffee shops for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're in Canada, Alejandro, but we have some big chains. So the biggest chain is called Tim Hortons, and they're everywhere. So they're probably one on every street corner.
Yeah.
And then Starbucks is also pretty big here. That's probably number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe Second Cup. I don't know, Omar. You might know better than me.
Second Cup, no, they're too bad. Unfortunately, they're not as popular. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of local coffee shops as well.
Yeah, a lot of local, and that's the beauty of it. Coffee shops, local coffee shops, is what makes it unique, because each coffee shop may have its own touch, its own offerings, and that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah. Great. So there are a lot of coffee shops, but I think there's still room for new entrants. So
for sure, there's always options and opportunities.
Yeah, and it seems like, I don't know much about the coffee business, but it seems like a pretty high margin business. You buy the beans for pretty cheap, I assume, and then charge $3 or $4 or $5 for a latte.
Yeah, but again, it is true. But then they have high expenses as well, right? So it's a fine balance. Yeah,
exactly.
Depends. Depends. Yeah.
But there is money to be made, I assume, or else.
For sure, if you know what you're doing and you offer good stuff, unique products other than the regular stuff, for sure. I mean, look at Java Blend. That's a great great example for sure. They've been in business for how long? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always thought about opening a coffee shop. I love coffee. I like to bake a little bit. But if I decide to do that, Omar, you will be the person I will go to.
I'll be waiting.
Yeah. To set me up. I always thought it would be good to have like an international type of cafe with, maybe some baked goods from different places, different countries, maybe artwork. You can sell some goods from local immigrant businesses.
Even different coffees.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Nice.
So anyway, we'll talk later about that. But if anybody wants to steal my idea, then
it's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So we're sort of running out of time, so we only have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, we have a few more minutes to answer those questions. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else I can ask you here. Are there any last tips or suggestions that you can leave our viewers with, Omar?
Don't be afraid. I know I was afraid when I first thought about running a business. It's definitely not hard as long as you put your time and mind to it. Have the right support, ask the right questions, but don't be afraid about it, because if you do not take that first step, you'll never, I guess, get into running your own business. And that's the difference between being an entrepreneur and not being an entrepreneur. It's just taking that first step, really. then
Yep.
things will fall in place. I mean, I remember when we had our first day in the coffee shop, we were horrified. We didn't know what to do, what to expect. It took us a while, but it's fun. You'll enjoy it, especially if you love what you're doing. It'll be a great experience for you for sure. So don't be afraid. Go ahead and do what you love and keep on doing it.
So how did it feel after all that hard work, and then finally you started to see some customers come in and you got your first sales? So how was that?
Sure. It was great. You build the customer base, you build friendship, you build, community. So you get to know everyone in that neighborhood. So it's a great feeling. It was a hard day when we decided to close. It's like you're losing family.
Yeah.
But like I said, everything has to come to an end, and you need to know when to stop, when there's the right time to stop. You can't keep on bleeding, right?
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Exactly. Okay, great. So I'm just going to show Omar's websites again. So again, his consulting business is called GammaShift, and you can visit it at this website. So https GammaShift.ca. And if you want his delicious coffee, so that is the roasted coffee business. And here's the website for that.
Or Facebook, or you can find me on Facebook as well.
Yeah, so Facebook, look up roasted coffee, and you can order directly from Omar on Facebook, and he will ship it anywhere in Canada.
Yeah, I won't be shipping it to Colombia. They have the coffee anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Someday, maybe. Someday you'll be international, and
there you go.
We'll be all
working on it. Yes. Why not?
Okay, great. So I want to thank you, Omar, for taking your time to give us some of your wisdom and sharing your experience about your coffee shop and your various businesses. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time, Ian, and see you soon.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Great. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks with our next Settle in Canada live stream. So have a good night, everybody. Take care.
See you.